Okay, here's an article from the New Battle Cry, and it's called Notes from All Over. Sin in America beginning to take its toll. The Journal of American Medical Association is reporting that the U.S. life expectancy has declined for the third straight year. Death rates in all groups increased, but the midlife group ages 25 to 64 were the hardest hit. Drug overdoses, alcohol abuse, suicides, and a list of various organ system diseases were blamed. U.S. life expectancy has been on a steady increase for the last 100 years, from around 47 to 1900 to the current 78. Medical advances and clean living worked wonders with serious health issues increasingly under control. People were free to work and innovate, producing the most prosperous nation yet in history. Now we are seeing a peaking. Solomon observed in Proverbs 14:34 that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. For a long time, sin in the U.S. was largely controlled by each generation trained in basic righteousness. By community taboos and criminal laws. About 50 years ago, legalization of sin began with legal abortion, and later same-sex was decriminalized. The law of God is now disregarded, and political leaders cherry-pick which laws they choose to enforce. Yet sin has its costs. Laws are not effective against alcohol and drug abuse. Laws are not effective against alcohol and drug abuse. They require general morality in the people. America's founders stressed that personal virtue and self-government were necessary for a successful pursuit of happiness. Some governments have instituted what they call a sin tax, a payment to the government for every pack of cigarettes or bottle of alcohol sold. However, sin has its own tax. Think of what we pay in locks for our doors, burglar alarms, courts, and prisons, medical cost of gluttony and substance abuse in one way or another. Each of these takes away from the general prosperity for everyone else. Soul winners, these statistics show how important witnessing is. If we all worked at it, every despondent person, everyone who turns to drugs or alcohol to escape the pressures of life, everyone who turns to crime would be challenged, even by a simple gospel tract, to cast their cares on the Creator and find happiness God's way. Gender Detransition Conference. The world's first detransition conference was held in London recently. Women gathered to express their regret for following the path of hormone drugs and mutilation in gender assignment. The conference was the kickoff of the Detransition Advocacy Network, founded by Charlie Evans, 28, a woman who identified as a man for 10 years. She claimed that when she went public with her regret, hundreds of young people contacted her expressing their own dismay as the results. One 23-year-old woman had a double mastectomy, hysterectomy, and a oophorectomy, removal of ovaries, before she realized that she would never become male. Her scathing comment was, "What are surgeons doing, calling this gender reassignment and gender reaffirming healthcare? Because my body doesn't feel healthy anymore." This is an example of several movements around the world and in the U.S. by disillusioned people who have made life-changing decisions while young and vulnerable, leaving them permanently unable to function in a normal marriage. We need to tell everyone we can that God's way is still the best way.